Strickland, he's had some big moments too. Win over Magomedov, and how was what you saw in that, was there anything different you wanted to see? I know he has that same kind of style, he's always been sparring that same way. He has nothing to leak or expose himself with. It's just been the same thing. It's been very successful on a lot of people other than Pereira, which was a while ago, but he's been doing well and he's been getting in so many fights, as many as he can. So do you think there's anything that could change with him to be able to get higher and higher up into the division?
Yeah, I think so. I think you can always better your best. And, he has a particular style, and the key is not to necessarily take him away from the style that has made him so great, but add some tools and add some things to his game that can help him out, And I think there's some areas that I think Izzy is going to look to exploit if and when we ever get that opportunity to fight Izzy. And we have to shore those holes up, but we also have to utilize our best attributes and our best tools to be able to compete against a guy like Israel, So you don't want to change too much, but at the same time, there are little things that I think we can add on and be better at. But I'm just super proud of the fact of he's understanding more of the fight IQ, the situational awareness things, and listening to a game plan, not just going out there and just making a brawl, which a lot of times I think that's what we see from the exterior, but there's things that we're trying to implement it and do in a fight. And then he's able to kind of see what the openings are from us as coaches. And then, he's got to maintain his creative control while he's in there, but all the while, he's been sticking to a good game plan.
Yeah, that's word for word. It's good. Then that week, the Rogan podcast came out, and there was a lot of things he came into detail with, and a lot of personal things, and just so many things that a lot of people never knew about, because he's always smiling, and he's always joking around and stuff. And then everything he was going through with all of those super deep topics and things, he's laughing through and everything like that. And he's saying fighting really helped him out with these things. Do you see any of that, his personal relationship with other people, now that he's exposed himself, that he knows a little bit about it? Do you think he's helpful with personal relationships with people and things like that in your gym?
He's always been helpful, and he's always been a really good teammate. And I think that, part of him a lot of times doesn't want to admit to the fact that he's a good teammate, but by nature, he does have a big heart. And he's a very important figure in this gym, as amongst a lot of these guys in this room. But Sean has a different type of history and a different type of path that I think a lot of people don't really understand. But I'm glad he did the Rogan podcast, because there was a few friends of mine or colleagues, within the MMA space that aren't really the fondest of Sean, but I think that podcast opened their eyes to a lot of their history. I think it answered a lot of questions on the way he is. And I was glad he did it. I think it was important to tell his story a little bit more and to go into a little bit in depth of, his upbringing and the things that maybe have formed him into the guy that he is today. But, with that being said, man, my job as a coach is to try to, better my athletes, not only in the cage, but as human beings. And I am proud to say, he is a good teammate in the room. It might not come off like that to some on the exterior.
Right.
And a lot of people will never understand that, right? A lot of people from the exterior want to try to dissect and diagnose what goes on in a day in our room, and they only see 5 minutes of a clip. He doesn't do himself a lot of favors either. No. But but I'm telling you, man, from my perspective, a guy who runs this gym and has been here for 15 years, he's a throwback. He's an old school guy, and he gets in your face and yells at you and calls you a fucking pussy and says you're a bitch and this and that. But he's saying it out of a place of love that
For sure.
I don't think a lot of people really get. I think I relate to him a lot more because my uncle was the same way with me. He was very tough. He's our linebackers coach and our strength and conditioning coach. And he was very tough on me in a lot of ways. And it wasn't until I got out of football or got out from being coached underneath him that I realized his passion was because he cared so much and he didn't want to see you fail. And I think I relate a lot to that to Sean, is that, man, he gets in your face and yells at you because he actually cares. But the guys he doesn't yell at and the guys he doesn't get in their face, he doesn't give a shit about. So, he actually cares. And that's important, I think, to have a guy like that, really give a shit about his teammates.
Yeah, for sure. Because whenever you're in an actual, everybody's goal is to be good, with MMA and everything, and especially in gyms like yours. And whenever I'll be in like a gym with like a ton of teenagers like me. Like I'm only 18 years old, and the whole time it's like it's half the time it's not even like a respect thing. It's just like it's everyone's ego against the like the other person. And whenever you're in gyms like that, no matter how the way they act in front of other people, it really is a sign of like respect and things like that. No matter what they say, I've seen so many sparring videos with him and other people, and like the yelling and stuff just makes it a better vibe, and it all in all just makes it a better place to be.
Yeah, I think when you really understand who and what Sean Strickland is, you kind of understand. I wouldn't say like how to tame him, but you just know where he's coming from, and that's what I love about him, dude. Like we there's never been a conversation where like, there's been times I've had to come to him and say something to him and not like, you need to change your ways, but I know how to approach Sean. I know how to talk to Sean, and he's always been very responsive to constructive criticism. Hey, Sean, I think you can say this a little bit different, and I think you'd win more hearts by, like one day there was a technique we were doing in wrestling, and he was just smashing everybody with this particular technique. And after the practice, he was like, you guys all fucking suck. Let me show you guys how I was kicking your ass. And he was right. He was right. That's what was happening. But, in a room full of alpha males, it's just not really the approach, and I said to Sean, because a lot of the guys were very dismissive of him, and Sean just comes over to me. He's like, man, I'm just trying to help these guys. They don't want to listen. I was like, no, what you're saying was right, but the way you're saying it was wrong. I said, how about this approach? Hey, man, you guys had an awesome practice. You guys did great, yada, yada, yada. Here's this one position I kept getting on you guys. Let's do that so we don't, you guys can get better in this particular spot. He's like, yeah, you're right. I got to work on my delivery, and I think he understands that because he does want to be accepted by the team, and he does want to be a part of the family, and he has earned that right here now, and he is one of those team captains of the room. And I'm just really proud of him. He won't admit it that he's a captain, but I'll tell him, hey, bro, he'll be the guy jumping on the mat, hooting and hollering, making sure everybody's on time and they have their tape and they're all prepared. So it's definitely been a big 180 from him since he's first been in Xtreme Couture.
Yeah. So one more thing before I let you go. With the middleweight, like with Rob, like after the Rob Whittaker versus Dricus du Plessis fight, the people expected Whittaker, right? The odds really favored him and things like that. And then Plessis caught him with a very good jab and then was able to finish off with a TKO. If Whittaker won, what do you think would happen? Because whenever that happened, Sean Strickland was saying on his Instagram and social medias and things like that, guess we have to keep waiting. So was there an actual discussion for like the title if Rob actually won?
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason why we took the boost fight was it did come with a guaranteed title shot. Now,
oh wow,
it doesn't mean that, the guarantees are just that. I mean, it doesn't really matter. And Sean might be guaranteed a title fight if he sits back and waits, but knowing Sean and his history, he just likes to fight.
Exactly.
So, we need to really sit down and kind of weigh out our options. And I need to kind of talk to Mick about what is next for Sean. Do we hold that title fight guarantee up to the fire with these guys, or, Sean gets the opportunity to fight a guy like Robert Whittaker or somebody else, and maybe we take that opportunity. But, there's still a lot that can happen within now and, the September fight, if that's when they're going to try to book Izzy. I know Izzy will be ready, but I still question and wonder if Dricus will be ready. And, for Sean, guys do get injured. Guys do get hurt. And let's say Dricus does get injured in a fight. Sean needs to have his mindset ready to go and keep his weight down, because he might be that short notice plug-in at the opportunity to fighting for a belt. So there's a lot of things that come into play with the middleweight division. And, I was equally surprised as most to see Dricus win that fight. I mean, good on him. I think he took advantage of his opportunity and maximized it right in that moment, man. I was blown away, to be honest with you. So, but credit to him, man. He earned his title shot. Now it's up to us to figure out what's next.